that fragrance! Could it be? Ferdinand, I cannot help but notice the exquisite tea you're drinking.
Not many can appreciate it, let alone recognize it. I'm impressed.
Perhaps you would be so good as to indulge me with a cup?
By all means, allow me to pour.
Ah, what a delightful aroma. When I close my eyes, I feel as though I've wandered into a rose garden.
Such a precise, poetic description. But please, drink up. No need to stand on ceremony.
How gracious of you. Very well. Flavor, fragrance, and hue, all in fine harmony. This is a most superior brew. And in a market saturated by pale imitation, no less, you did well to acquire such fine fare.
You are clearly quite passionate about tea. And more than just passionate. You know what it takes to brew a fine cup. To say nothing of your flawless etiquette and sterling attentiveness.
Certainly. Proper etiquette at tea time is one of the surest hallmarks of quality breeding. And the extent of one's attentiveness is quite often indicative of the depth of one's character. The ability of a person of fine stock to exhibit a rich quality of character is precisely what determines whether one is worthy to be called noble. And all of that can be seen in how one handles such a simple thing as a cup of tea.
Ah, marvelously put, Lawrence. I can tell you have given much thought to this subject. And if I may, I have always considered you to be the very model of noble comportment.
Oh, likewise, this has certainly been an extraordinarily meaningful cup of tea.
I wholeheartedly concur. Before we part ways, I would like to offer you some of these leaves.
Truly? Well, I'm flattered, but I cannot simply accept them without offering something in exchange. You simply must allow me to host you in turn, by way of recompense. We shall drink from House Gloucester's finest teacups and enjoy the loveliest of its cakes.
That sounds exquisite. I look forward to it.
That reminds me, Ferdinand. I wonder if a certain rumor has already reached your ears.
I suspect I know what you are referring to. A certain noble who caused a stir at one of the local taverns, correct? For someone of status to make such a scene. What a disgrace.
I thought just the same. A noble ought to hold himself to a higher standard. It is hardly appropriate to drink and mingle with a tavern full of commoners.
Oh, that is not quite what I meant. I do not object to a noble patronizing their local establishments. In fact, I would say such excursions have value.
Is that so? I would be very curious to hear what value you mean exactly. But allow me first to venture a guess. Is it that you suppose it is proper for a noble to bolster a town's wealth with his patronage? If that is your thinking, then I would counter that whatever one adds to a merchant's coffers seldom makes it to the pockets of the townsfolk. I think that if a noble wishes to use his resources to ease the burdens of the commoners, he ought to go about town and spend it more directly.
That is wonderfully insightful, Lawrence. Albeit not what I had in mind. What I meant was this. We can benefit from crossing the threshold and learning more about regular folk. We scarcely understand the reality of their lives. In turn, they do not know about us. I have heard that some believe we have horns growing from our heads. It is an embarrassing and potentially perilous state of affairs.
You are quite right. In fact, that reminds me of something a boy once said to me when I visited a village on my family's territory. He actually asked me if I had a tail. Hilarious.
We all need a laugh now and then. As a man of status, I feel it is my calling to right the world's wrongs. But there is only so much I can do alone. Working in tandem, though, you and I could make tremendous accomplishments.
My sentiments exactly. Together we could achieve a great deal. Though the circumstances of birth may have placed one of us in the Empire and the other in the Alliance, we can still study and fight together.
Yes, precisely. Together, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. By the way, Lawrence, do you have a tail?